Been a long time.
Got one cracked.
Cheers,
Is that a
Paige.
seltzer?
It is a seltzer. It's a Topo Chico exotic pineapple.
Okay, so I love those.
Yes.
Also, not saying that people should do this and not endorsing excessive drinking, but if you drink a little sip of that, take a little sippy sip, get a little bit out of it, pour some tequila in there.
Oh, wow. That is excessive
I
drinking.
did that skiing.
That
once.
is how
But
we
also, that's
returned-
not the first time that's something I've drank on this show before. Topo Chico seltzer. So I mean, who knows? They could be our next sponsor.
So, yes, welcome in. We are not encouraging excessive drinking. This is no punts allowed. It has been a long time. It's been a little
Couple
while.
months.
Couple of months. We've been regrouping. We've been, I don't know. It's been a rebuilding. I'd love to say things have changed. They haven't, and I think that's probably for the best. And now, of course, as we embark the football season, vacations, trips. I just got back from 6 days in Vegas, which is
way too
why
many.
I need a seltzer because I think I have IPA pulsating through my body right now.
Is that like
Space
your
Dust.
go-to casino drink?
Oh God, no, they all are. Every one of them is like my go-to casino drink. However, Space Dust is like I feel like every casino that's like, ooh, they have Space Dust. By the end of this
Okay.
trip, I don't want to see a Space Dust again. So
See.
no, but I'll do some vodka. I will do a little occasional Baileys and coffee.
Okay.
That's my go-to. What is yours?
I'm always a vodka cran, which is so weird because I haven't had vodka cranberry since like the first time I tried alcohol. Which was when I was 21, obviously.
Yeah.
But I legitimately, I don't know what it is, but I just know that like that's like a safe drink to have made because I'm a dirty martini person as is,
Oh, yeah.
and like casino dirty martini just like doesn't sound great unless I'm going to like a legit bar. So yeah, I feel like vodka cran is like my safe casino one because I did in fact go to Reno and lose all of my money. I lost $100 in poker within, I would say, 5 minutes, and it was the craziest thing ever.
It
Even
happens.
my brother and boyfriend felt bad for me because they were like, oh, just do it, now's the time, and I just got absolutely wrecked 5 hands in a row, and it was
I will say this: after 6 days in Vegas, I came home profitable, which
Look at
is
that.
nothing short of a minor miracle. My last trip to Vegas, not profitable. In fact,
Okay.
let's not talk about it. But we did make money, and if you did watch any of the Golden Tee World Championship this past weekend, which of course, how could you not? I did about 15 hours of commentary, I think.
okay.
So I feel pretty good. Like it's like
Yeah,
the
I'm
post-athlete
surprised you're
interview.
ready to do podcasts, but really
My
you
vo-
had no choice.
I had no choice. So as an aside, with the production crew there, they brought in honey. So in between cuts,
Well,
I'm
because
just downing them.
didn't you
Yes.
lose your voice the last time?
Oh yeah, like every time.
Okay.
I did have one cigar one night, and I realized that I can't do that because the voice
Yeah.
goes like that is not good for prolonged talking. So,
Yeah.
but the honey is the trick. Have you ever drank honey just straight out of a bottle? Have you ever done this?
Yeah. I mean, I'm
It
like a
sucks.
natural. I'm a
Yeah,
natural remedies kind of gal. I've done it all.
Well, I've not done that in a while, and like beyond, it does feel soothing on your throat. That is it's like a rush, man. Like
Yeah,
honey,
sugar rush.
straight to the veins is delightful. So, what else? What else have we been doing? I mean, I'd love to say again, my lawn's in impeccable shape. I've coached 2 baseball teams and a softball team, which is consuming a good chunk of my life with my kids. That's about it. That's
Yeah.
pretty much my life, my lawn and my children, I'd say.
We've been also watching college football change so much that it almost has been like nice to not be doing this because we can like wait it out until there's been like
Yes.
official concrete changes.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, for us, obviously, we are going to give you guys a little behind the scenes. We are recording this well before it is going to be published. We did just want to check in with everyone because honestly, the one thing I will say about taking this long of a break, because last summer I think we took only a month off,
Yeah.
was the really nice messages of people being like, hey, we really miss you guys. Can you guys please come back? We know it's not college football season, but can you guys, bring the shenanigans back? And we want to know your opinions on all sorts of random things. So that was actually really nice to kind of see as we've taken a little hiatus in terms of Also, last season, guys, not gonna lie, we said this the year before, we were exhausted after this last season, having to be in New York so much for
Oh
the
my
college
God.
football playoff show. We really did have a long run, and I mean, this is a positive, but I think this season's gonna look a lot more like that and be a little bit more chaotic and have a lot going on. So, super excited, but we did want to check in and say, hey, we're not going anywhere. We
No.
know college football is around the corner. But also when you guys are hearing this, I will be in Spain. So
Yeah, we're
I
back, but
leave.
then
Yeah,
Paige
we're
leaves
back, but
immediately.
I'm leaving. So yeah, I'm going on a 21-day European trip. And I leave in a few days. And so Kramer and I decided we would record some of this. Another thing is, you all know that Kramer's personality, other part of his personality besides his lawn and his kids and this podcast is video games.
Yeah,
So
should find me.
he is going to handle all video game follow up. So after it's dropped, you guys will hear from Kramer in real time. Which I trust you to hold it down. I know you can do it. But the best part about, maybe taking a break from this, but still having college football stuff to do, we've done a ton of live streams. So we did a predicting the college football playoff 12, which
Which
let
we
me
get.
tell you guys, I hope that by the time we get to college football season, that people take a look at what the playoff regulations are and what it means to get an
Yeah,
automatic bid. I mean, we were taking some serious heat for having a group of 5 team in our top 12 when they get an automatic bid. So I'm hoping that people look over those things. We know you as a podcast listener here know those things and would be a little bit kinder in the chat. But that was probably one of our more brutal chats that we've experienced on that live
well,
stream.
let me also say, yes, I think people understand, but putting that 12 together under the new guidelines was eye-opening.
Yeah.
The fact that Utah or Kansas State, I'll say that, and you can expand it to include whatever Big 12
Arizona team.
Arizona team, sure, Arizona in there, Oklahoma State, which, oh, by the way, new conferences, back to the whole point of change. It took me a moment to be like, is this really
Is this
right?
for real?
And
Do we
so
like this?
college football, I think it's going to take about a month for people that are not consuming this on a day by day social media basis to really know what the hell is going on with this goddamn sport. And I think it's going to be a while between the 12 team playoff. I hope the people that play the goddamn video game will actually figure out a little bit about the game before
who's on
sport.
what team.
Yeah, who's on what
that
team?
Helps portal wise.
Who's in what conference, and what's the playoff going to look like? So
yeah,
I think college football, I don't want to say that it has an optics problem, but I think in terms of information, because you had the Pac-12 dissolve essentially in a moment's notice, it's going to take some acclimation period. That chat was a fucking fiasco in a largely hilarious way.
Well, and for us, it was the first time we had looked at schedules too and decided, because I mean, we hadn't gotten concrete schedules yet, and to really look at them and focus on them. The sport is going to look really different in such a positive way, but I think any sort of change can be really hard, especially for a sport like college football, where tradition is such a big part of what makes it great. So I think that was the other part. And like you said, I think college football has a little bit of an information problem right now because there's so much going on. And I mean, we can talk a little bit about the fact that the NCAA and Power 5 agreeing that you can pay players. There's so many legal things that are just not the norm college football news. I mean, we've gotten bits and pieces over the last couple of years, but there's tons of things going on that are way outside of what we ever would have imagined for the sport. And I think one of the more interesting conversations is also you and I had months ago was the idea that private equity would get involved in college football and the real stirrings of super leagues and conversations. And, we always thought that, okay, conference realignment would happen, but we were all right, we'll see it. We'll believe it when we see it. And so it started to happen and then it just kind of exploded. I feel like everyone's thinking, okay, private investment funds are going to come in, but is it going to happen anytime soon? And like, I think it's sooner than we think.
Yes, it is.
Just because, again, like paying players, conferences, being able to, there's so much to it. And also, mind you, like this affects the NCAA, obviously affects all other sports too, not just football. So there's that balance as well. Yeah, it's very strange and, sad. Also, I mean, it could be a positive for the Pac-12, which, by the way, one thing I do want to note is that the Pac-12 technically has 2 years to find, its number of members for it to actually be gone. So right now it's on a little bit of a break, Ross and Rachel vibes, and then it could get back together. And I think we'll see the Mountain West maybe change into that since they already have such an agreement for Washington State and Oregon State. But all very interesting stuff to say, like, this sport is so different and it's going to continue to change. And I think some people are just confused at all of the stuff that's happening at one time. But I promise you guys it's going to be great.
The private equity stuff is absolutely going to happen because college athletics, not college football, college athletics has an economic problem on its hand. It's kind of like in pandemic. You're generating cash, but you have all these expenses. Like the expenses have been mounting, right? And now they're going to grow because you have to pay players. And you look at the money they're going to have to pay players. For an Ohio State, it could be significant. Well, maybe not for an Ohio State, which could raise money very easily, but for a Rutgers or an Indiana, when you look at like 21% of it, like $21 million could be going out to your rosters. So what do you do with non-revenue making sports, right?
Yeah.
I did a stream on this with Michael Felder. It was actually really, really interesting. Private equity could come in and say, hey, look, we'll give you $500 million or $1 billion, but it's a loan, more or less, for teams to be able to operate under these environments. And private equity, what are they going to do when they come in and say, my God, this field hockey team doesn't generate any money? I worry about that. Not just for college football, for other things. But so as all of this shit, like you mentioned, conference expansion or realignment or just dissolving and paying players, there's two worlds of college football now. It's the off the field and there's on the field. And the on the field is going to be amazing. And the off the field, I think, is going to be not boring. So it's like NBA free agency, right? Remember that was a thing on steroids. I get excited about it. I think we all get concerned about it too, because I don't think the only constant is going to be change.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. And I think looking at sort of what we've anticipated and like what actually has been so different. Like we could be having a completely different conversation the next couple of months based on something that's happened. And it's absolutely crazy. I mean, it's funny to me now more than ever because I think college football has definitely moved into like the mainstream media discussing like, Supreme Court rulings and such that impact college football. And I feel like I'm talking to people more on a regular basis and trying to help them understand like what's going on because they see that it's in the news more so than, regular. And I feel like people who normally don't talk to me about, college football or sports are really being like, hey, what's going on here? Because I feel like I hear a lot about this, which is great. So we're excited for the college football season. I do think the other part that's so funny is that we just got used to having collectives. So like the company or the quote things that are affiliated with the university but are like helping NIL and like those could be impacted. So like we could have those for like the next year or two, but then those can completely go away because the university might just be able to do it themselves and filter.
Yeah.
It is so funny to me to see how like the sport we're getting new stuff and then it's gonna go. But yeah, there's a lot of things that have been consistent though, and I will say portal wise, that has probably been the biggest kind of like common ground that we can stand on right now is like, hey, the portal still very much a thing, still going to stick around, always going to be a thing, and it's actually pretty good for football. And seeing how much the portal has kind of shifted some of these teams over the last couple of months has been really fascinating. Like we kind of anticipated, the rich still get richer.
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer is still really able to recruit for Alabama. We've seen Georgia, when they lose people, still load up again and will still be very good. Ohio State has taken full advantage of the transfer portal. Obviously, we've heard now that, Ryan Day has really been given the green light to focus on some of that like off the field stuff and being more of like a CEO,
Yep.
type of role. And it's benefited them. We've seen it already. I mean, like, they are always incredibly talented, but I think being able to optimize the transfer portal, and then again, you've got Dabo again not taking transfer portal people. There, some things are, so as much change as there is, some things are staying the same, and we could say that the transfer portal is really keeping us in the game.
No, it is. But now we've seen the window for the transfer portal also shrinking. Like, the sport is now trying to like rein it in. Good luck. What does the shrinking window do? Well, I think it's going to make it more chaotic in maybe a smaller stretch.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. It's funny. I spent the last couple of days in Vegas, and you're right. I spent time with a huge Ohio State fan and an Ole Miss fan. And, these are teams that kind of crushed it on the portal front, I think. And now, though, Paige, what's really interesting is like if you have a schedule like Ole Miss's or like a favorable look, and you're like, hey, we can like really invest in this year's portal and maybe make this playoff and push for a run. Because as you and I know, when we looked at seeding, it gets weird down there. In fact, Ole Miss, I think, was the beneficiary of some bizarre seeding in our 12-team playoff, right?
Yep.
Not because we planned it, because I think that's the way it's going to roll. So this is going to be the constant. Now, this pod, I think our pod, if I'm evaluating, it thrives off of chaos. We could turn, a documentary about horse racing into a full hour of content. This is what we do. It doesn't even have to be sports. Like, we would find other tangents. But I think this pod is at its best. And I like it the best when there are games and chaos. Because we like to gamble. We like to bet. We like to break down matchups. But if you want to give us a little like side serving of, suspension drama. I'm in. So that to me is exciting because it almost becomes like noise after a while.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this huge NCAA ruling. Sure, throw that in the pile.
Yeah.
All that said, the portal is going to be the constant in this. The question is, how is the uses going to evolve now that schools can do different things?
Yeah. Two schools that very much like drama that we've seen this week, Texas and Oklahoma. We get it. You're going to the SEC. Okay. When they say it means more, it means they spent more money to tell everyone they're moving to conferences. Okay. There has been so much press and media and events and fireworks and tweets over this change. And I'm like, I feel bad. I mean, maybe it's just me being jealous that, like, Arizona officially in the Big 12 and it's not really a big thing. But
Did y'all not
the
have
SEC,
a party?
Yeah, we didn't throw like a whole party in downtown Tucson and just on University, maybe it's in downtown Tucson. But yeah, no, I love it because that's like so typical college football. But I will say this is probably going to relatively be stale by the time you guys hear this, but I have to make this point. The SEC network was down doing a show for the Texas. They were in Austin, okay? I think they're also in Oklahoma as well. But the one in Austin, someone was interviewing Paul Feinbaum, not for the show. It was not on SEC Win Network. And he made the comment that it was, Quinn Ewers was, or not Quinn, Arch Manning was the guy. And he's later clarified that he thought the question was like, after this year, who's going to be like the Texas guy. But before that, Twitter freaked out about him saying that he was going to, start over Quinn Ewers. And I was like, welcome to the SEC. Now you know what Feinbaum does, where he just like says things and he doesn't clarify. Luckily, he did clarify that one. But that show and Feinbaum and the nature of the SEC and just like being able to say whatever and having people call in and say whatever, welcome Texas and Oklahoma, because if you're so sensitive about the horns down situation, this is going to be a rough ride for you guys.
Also, welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma. At Ole Miss, Maine, like side salad, cleanse the palate. At Missouri, Alabama, at LSU. That is Oklahoma's final 5.5 weeks of the season. I'm glad Venables got his new deal because, buddy, the results may vary. I like their team, but that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. By the way, before then, you play Tennessee, you play at Auburn, who's going to be better. You play Texas, of course.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's not good. So, yeah, now is the time to get a new deal. And I think Oklahoma was strategic because, it's tough sledding. So I think they're going to be fine. I certainly think Texas is going to be fine the way that they're equipped in this era of football, I think, to win big, recruit big, portal big, all those different things. But I think there's going to be an acclimation period here for sure. And that schedule just, Texas got some brutal games on there. Don't get me wrong. You play Oklahoma and Georgia in back-to-back weeks. But I think it's a much more navigatable, and Michigan, by the way, which is fantastic for all of us. But I think there's more of a path there.
Well, and I think it's funny because Sark has always been a figure.
Did that make a loud noise or no?
It sort of did, but your reaction was just so funny because you were trying to catch something, catching your mic, and not spill. And not spill.
I almost spit everything out.
We need a slow-mo of that. Producer Matt. Yes, we're going to.
My heart is fucking pounding right now. I feel nauseous. So, great catch by me. The fact that the mic didn't fall.
Yes, and you caught your drink as well.
I got my drink. That was slow-mo.
That slow-mo is going to be really good. I can't wait to play it back and post it on the internet. That's always the best. That's what we're here for.
Better about that now.
All right. Now, Sark.
All right. Yes.
Sark has always been a figure where he's clippable. The things he says are clippable, but I think that now being in the SEC, it means more. It's going to be talked about more. Complacency is the devil. Okay, things. Yeah. When I saw that quote, I was like, "Foosball is the devil." I don't know. For Flatter Boy, that's what it made me think of. But it's just so funny that we're already starting to get that, and this season. The drama and the outside, like you said, we love games. We love betting on games. We love talking about games. But really, the outside stuff is what makes college football so great. And it's going to be so good this year, you guys. And the matchups, another conference, but another team that's joining that has a welcome to the Big Ten, I think, is Oregon's schedule as well.
Yeah.
There's some teams that also Penn State's probably laughing in the corner because they're haha, we don't have to play Ohio State and Michigan. This is so great. There's some people that are seriously benefiting from all of this change, but I think Oregon, like you mentioned, Texas, there's some teams that are getting a welcome to the big boys club sort of schedule.
The only thing that's throwing me off with Oregon's schedule, you play Oregon State in September. I do not.
That's weird.
I don't like that. At least
it's still happening. That makes me happy.
No, it makes me happy too, and I get it. We're gonna do what we can to keep it along, but. That was another individual I talked to who's a big Oregon fan, and you could tell they are drinking the Kool-Aid, which I don't really blame them. The more I dig into this team, this is a team that should win a lot of games, albeit again, what do you got? You got Ohio State, you got Michigan, you got Washington on there. There's some football games. How fucking great is college football?
It's the best.
Not talking about it for a few months, I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm looking at it, I feel refreshed. Normally, you and I hit the season and we are exhausted. And just looking at what we're going to be doing, I think it's probably going to still be the case.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm fresh. Right now, I'm ready for everything.
I saw that I looked up when we did the college football playoff one, we looked at schedules, and then we did a way too early AP ranking.
Yes.
And what we thought the committee would do. And that chat was a little bit more fun because it was definitely talking more about who we actually thought would be ranked, not based on who gets in, but just rankings.
Yes.
And it's so fun because, again, looking at schedules, there's some teams that could be out of the top 25 in a hot minute, or there are some teams that could literally jump up into the top 10 within the first 2 weeks of college football. It is crazy. And the matchups that we're getting are just incredible. I mean, even looking at like Clemson and starting the year, like where does Clemson fall? Like I can't wait to see what that sort of hopeful rebound is. But also it could go really, really badly. And like it should be very interesting to see where Clemson is and if there's going to be a return to success and playoff. And I think we'll have a good marker of that starting at their first game of the season.
We have a week 0 game that's actually like Florida State versus Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Like, don't get me wrong. We will give you, if you want a distinct breakdown of Delaware State, Hawaii, you will get it here, right? That game is happening.
You'll
like,
at least get a bet that you should place on that.
Yes. And then, SMU Nevada, of course, like all of these games. But like, it's, that's August 24th. We're recording this in early July. That's not that far away.
No.
Like, that is not that far away.
Yeah, it feels very, well, and especially for me, like, I'm going away for 3 weeks, and I'm like, when I come back, it's football time. And, like, that, to me, is the best.
I'm pumped.
I'm so excited.
I am pumped.
We're ready for the season.